All right, you ready to dive into something a little different today?
Always. Hit me with it.
Okay, so we're going to tackle this idea of showering frequency,
Okay.
but specifically for seniors.
All right.
We found this really interesting YouTube video, and it honestly has me rethinking a lot of things.
Oh, what's the video?
It's from this channel called Doc Ficey, and the title is ¿Con qué frecuencia deben realmente ducharse los mayores? La verdad que debes saber.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's all about like how often seniors really need to shower.
Okay.
And let me tell you, it's pretty surprising.
Well, I'm intrigued. Let's dive in.
Okay, so you know how we're all basically taught to shower every day?
Yeah, it's like ingrained from childhood.
Exactly.
You gotta be squeaky clean.
Right, it's like this unspoken rule, you know?
Absolutely.
But what if that's actually not the best thing for everyone?
I see where you're going with this.
Especially as we age.
Right.
This video actually digs into some research. And get this. It suggests that daily showering might actually be bad for senior skin.
Whoa, really? I mean, we're always told showering is good for you.
I know, right? That was my first thought, too.
So how could that be? How could showering be bad?
Well, it has to do with, like, how our skin changes as we get older.
Okay.
Younger skin, it's tough, it's resilient, bounces back pretty easily.
Yeah.
But as we age, our skin doesn't produce as many natural oils,
Right.
which means it gets drier, and it's way more sensitive.
Oh, okay.
So when you think about it, like stripping away those oils every day.
With hot water and soap and all that.
Yeah, exactly. It starts to make sense why that might not be the best thing.
Okay, I get it. But is it really that big of a deal?
Well, the Doc Ficey video mentioned this study from the University of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And basically it showed that senior skin is way more prone to damage
Oh, wow.
from, all that showering.
Makes sense.
And then they talked about another study, this one from UC San Francisco, that found that frequent showers can actually lead to xerosis.
Xerosis.
Yeah, it's like super itchy, dry skin, scaly.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that.
Not fun.
No, not at all.
So it's not just like uncomfortable. It can actually be because of health issue.
Right, because that dry, cracked skin, that's gotta be bad for you.
Exactly. It creates these little openings for bacteria and all sorts of stuff to get in.
Oh, yuck.
And for seniors whose immune systems might not be as strong as they used to be,
Right.
that can be really dangerous.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And get this, it gets even a little scarier.
Oh, no. What else?
They talked about the safety risks.
Of showering.
Yeah, for older folks.
Oh, okay. I guess I never really thought about that.
It's easy to overlook. Right?
Yeah, totally.
But think about it, bathrooms are full of wet, slippery surfaces.
Right, yeah.
And this video actually cited some pretty sobering statistics from the Journal of the American Medical Association, highlighting just how physically demanding showering can be and even lead to breathing difficulties for some seniors.
Wow, yeah.
And falls are a huge concern for older adults.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about getting clean, it's about the whole act of showering.
Yeah, and how it can impact the older person's well-being.
Right. But hold on, doesn't our skin, naturally clean itself?
Well, you're right. Our bodies do have self-cleaning systems.
Okay.
Our skin has all these good bacteria. They create, an ecosystem.
Right.
And that helps keep things in check.
Okay.
But when we shower too much, we actually disrupt that balance.
Oh.
And it can actually make us more susceptible to problems.
So all this is, pretty mind-blowing.
It is fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, how often should seniors be showering then?
Well, the experts in the Doc Ficey video suggest something that might sound pretty radical.
Oh, okay.
They say just 1 to 2 times per week.
Wait, seriously?
Ugh.
That's it?
Yeah.
I gotta admit, my initial reaction was, no way, that's not enough.
I get it. It goes against everything we've been taught.
Yeah. But I'm starting to see how it all connects.
It's not about being dirty. It's about protecting that balance
Right.
of your skin's microbiome.
Yeah.
And that gets thrown off when we wash too frequently.
So it's less about a hard rule and more about understanding that everyone's different.
Exactly. The video really stresses that everyone has different needs,
Okay.
like how active they are,
Oh, yeah.
medical conditions, even just personal preference.
Right. So somebody who's really active, they might need to shower more.
Exactly.
Someone with a skin condition, maybe they need to shower less often.
Exactly. It's all about figuring out what works best for each person.
It's about individuality.
Absolutely. And this is where talking to a doctor can be so helpful.
Right.
They can help tailor a hygiene routine that really works for someone's specific needs.
Okay, so if we're not showering every day, then what are some other ways to stay clean and fresh?
Well, the Doc Facial video had some great tips. One thing they mentioned was adult wet wipes.
Adult wet wipes.
Yeah, for like a quick refresh between showers.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And of course, there's good old-fashioned hand washing.
Yeah, of course. Can't forget about that.
Right, 20 seconds with soap and water.
Yeah.
And hand sanitizer when you need it.
Right.
That's like hygiene 101.
Yeah. But there's more to it than just showers and hand washing, right?
Absolutely. The video talked about things like oral hygiene.
Oh.
And changing clothes regularly and keeping hair, nails, and beards tidy. It's like all these little things, they add up.
They create the bigger picture of cleanliness.
Exactly. It's about reframing our whole idea of what it means to be clean. We're so focused on showering as the main thing that we forget there are other ways to stay fresh and healthy.
So it's not about ditching showers completely. It's about finding that routine that really works for you.
Exactly. Especially as we age.
Yeah, our needs change. It sounds like this video is encouraging us to, really be more mindful
I think that's a great way to put it.
about our hygiene routine instead of just doing the same thing every day without thinking.
Exactly. And that mindfulness is so important when we think about hygiene for older adults.
Right.
It's about having those conversations,
Yeah.
being open and honest about their preferences,
Okay.
respecting their choices, and helping them find a routine that works for them.
So instead of saying you need to shower every day, it's more about saying what makes you feel comfortable and clean.
Exactly. And that little shift can make a huge difference.
All right, we've covered a lot.
We have.
We talked about all the downsides of frequent showering, especially for seniors.
Right.
The importance of finding a personalized routine
Absolutely.
and all those alternatives to daily showers.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's still so much more to explore.
Oh, absolutely.
We touched on oral hygiene and changing clothes, but we didn't really dive deep into why those are so important for seniors specifically.
You're right. There's a lot more to uncover there.
Yeah, so what do you say?
I say let's take a quick
Refresh.
refresh.
And then we'll dive back in.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so before a little refresh there, we were starting to talk about all those other aspects of hygiene,
Right.
like, oral care and keeping clothes fresh. Honestly, I always thought those were, less important than showering.
Yeah, it's easy to think that way.
Yeah.
But, they really do have a big impact on our overall health and well-being.
Yeah.
Take oral hygiene, for example.
Okay.
I mean, we all know we're supposed to brush and floss, to prevent cavities.
All right.
But the Doc Facial video talked about how it's actually linked to some pretty serious health concerns.
Oh, yeah, I was surprised by that, too. They mentioned things like heart disease and diabetes.
Exactly.
I mean, those are way beyond just a toothache.
Right. It turns out that the bacteria in our mouths can actually travel through the bloodstream and affect other parts of the body.
Oh, wow.
So keeping our teeth clean, it's not just about having a nice smile.
Right.
It's about our overall health.
So, something as simple as brushing and flossing regularly
Yeah,
can actually has a huge impact on, our whole body.
absolutely.
Wow.
It's amazing how these small habits can really make a big difference.
Okay.
And speaking of simple habits, let's talk about changing clothes regularly.
Oh, right, yeah.
I mean, it sounds so basic, but
Yeah.
the Doc Facial video made a good point about how fresh clothes can really impact how we feel.
You're right.
Yeah,
Just putting on a clean shirt can totally change your mood.
exactly. It's like a little reset button.
Yeah.
But how does that tie into senior care specifically?
Oh, good point. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Well, think about it.
Okay.
For someone who's dealing with health challenges or mobility issues, even just something simple like putting on a clean shirt, can really boost their sense of dignity and well-being.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's about feeling good in your own skin, literally.
Exactly.
That's a really good point. It's more than just hygiene. It's about respecting someone's dignity.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And while we're on the topic of feeling our best,
Yeah.
the Doc Facial video also talked about hair, nails, and beards.
Right.
I mean, those are often seen as just aesthetic things.
Yeah.
But they can play a big role in someone's self-esteem.
Absolutely, especially as they age.
Right, yeah.
Keeping hair clean and styled, trimming nails, maintaining a well-groomed beard if they have one.
Yeah.
Those things can go a long way in helping someone feel good about themselves.
Yeah. It's like those little details are a form of self-care.
Exactly. It's about taking pride in your appearance, feeling
Yeah.
good about yourself.
But I'm curious, how do we balance all this new info about showering less often with all these other hygiene practices?
It is a bit of a shift, isn't it?
Yeah. Kind of feels like a whole new way of thinking about things.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
We're so used to thinking about hygiene as like black and white.
Yeah.
You shower every day, you're clean.
Right.
You're not.
Right.
But this deep dive is really showing us that there are nuances.
Okay.
It's not so simple.
So it's less about following a strict set of rules
Yeah.
and more about understanding, like, why we do the things we do.
Exactly.
It's about finding that balance.
Right, where we're taking care of ourselves,
Yeah.
but not overdoing it.
Right. And that balance is going to look different for everyone.
Absolutely. There's no one size fits all.
Yeah.
It's about listening to your body, understanding your needs,
Yeah.
and making choices that work for you.
So it sounds like we're being encouraged to be more mindful
Yes.
about our routines,
Exactly.
not just going through the motions.
Yeah. And that mindfulness is especially important when we're talking about older adults.
Okay.
It's about having those conversations.
Right.
Asking them what they prefer,
Okay.
respecting their choices,
Yeah.
and helping them find a routine that works for them.
So instead of saying you need to shower every day, it's more like what makes you feel comfortable and clean.
Exactly.
Wow, that's a really simple but powerful change in how we think about things.
I think so too.
All right, so as we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
let's recap the key takeaway for our listeners.
All right. The big takeaway here is that showering frequency for seniors, it should be driven by individual needs,
Okay.
not by what society tells us.
Right, and this new understanding, it really empowers you
Yep.
to have those conversations with your loved ones
Right.
about their routines.
Absolutely.
It's about respect,
Yes.
and it's about helping them find a routine that supports their well-being.
And remember, it's not just about showering less often. It's about incorporating those other aspects of hygiene.
Right.
Oral care, fresh clothes, grooming. It's about a holistic approach to cleanliness.
I love that, a holistic approach.
Yeah.
It's about seeing the bigger picture.
Exactly.
It's about understanding that hygiene is about so much more than just getting the dirt off.
It really is.
So as we're wrapping up this exploration of showering frequency for seniors,
Yeah.
I'm wondering, like, how might this change how we think about our own hygiene habits?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it applies to how we think about the hygiene of the older adults in our lives.
Yeah.
Maybe it means being more mindful of how often we shower, or having those open and honest conversations with our loved ones.
Yeah, it's about approaching hygiene with more curiosity
Yes,
and compassion.
absolutely.
Recognizing that there's no one right way to do things.
I couldn't agree more.
You know, as we're wrapping up this whole deep dive into showering frequency for seniors, something keeps sticking with me.
Oh yeah,
What's that?
we've talked about all the sciencey stuff, the practical tips, even like those societal pressures around cleanliness.
Right.
But I feel like there's this like bigger message here, something about like challenging those assumptions we've always had.
I think you're right. It's about recognizing that what we think about hygiene, especially for older folks,
Yeah.
might not always be based on facts.
Yeah, exactly. We kind of just default to what we've always done or what we've been told.
Right, without stopping to think if it's actually the best way.
It's like we're on this showering autopilot, and this deep dive is like waking us up. Maybe less is more, especially for our skin as we get older.
Absolutely. This whole deep dive, it's all about giving you the tools to make your own choices, to have those conversations with your loved ones, and really advocate for what they want. It's about making sure their hygiene routine is actually good for them.
And you know what? It's not just about seniors, is it?
No, not at all.
This has me thinking about my own habits. Like, maybe I've been overdoing it all this time. That's the cool thing about learning new stuff, right? It makes us rethink things. So maybe it's time for all of us to ask ourselves, what does clean really mean? And how can I do that in a way that's good for me?
So, to wrap this whole thing up, maybe we can leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay, yeah, what do you have in mind?
How can we change how we think about hygiene? Move away from those strict rules and create a more personalized, more compassionate approach, one that works for everyone.
That's a great question to consider. And as you keep learning and growing, remember that knowledge is only as good as what you do with it. So take what you've learned about showering frequency and use it. Talk to people. Challenge those old ideas. Make hygiene more mindful and individual for you and for everyone you care about.
I love that. Right, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. Until next time, everyone,